Amanda, how long have you been making films?
Good question. I think I did my first documentary in 2005, so that would make 16 years.
Okay, and so what took you to Jamaica then?
Well, I have to admit it was really a coincidence. At that time, I was working for a Spanish TV program. I was really lucky to work in that program because we were traveling all around the world, and it was like, showing countries through the eyes of the Spaniards that were living in those spots. So I remember it was in 2007, we chose Jamaica as one of the destinations. I went there on my own, first of all, and I was scouting for the show. And suddenly I came across this amazing Victorian building. And I was really amazed by that because I discovered it used to be like a warehouse for slaves, that terrible story with slavery in Jamaica. After many, many years, it was converted into a prison. So it's currently the General Penitentiary of Kingston, Jamaica.
And of course, that's one prison replacing another, of course.
Exactly, it's exactly the same. When I saw that building, I was with Fernando Garcia Guerreta, that is the producer of the film, and it was one of the characters of the show. He's a Spanish producer living in Jamaica. So I kept on asking him questions about this building, the story, of course, of slavery in Jamaica, and then the prison. And then he said, hey, Amanda, this is a very interesting prison because there's this rehabilitation program. They have a music studio and they are rehabilitating inmates through reggae music. And at that time, that was in 2007, a very famous reggae singer called Jack Cure was in prison. He was condemned 8 years for rape. And he was there and he was releasing a lot of music from prison. All the tracks he was releasing was about, saying sorry, and he was trying to rehabilitate through that program. So I thought it was a really amazing story. So I said to Nando, why don't we research a bit more? Why don't we try to do something about it? At the same time, I was falling in love with Jamaica. I totally love Jamaica, love Jamaicans, their culture, everything. So, well, we asked permission to go into the prison. We got a big no. They said, no way. This is a maximum security prison, which is kind of funny because once you get there, it's quite, well, there's not the minimum conditions for the inmates. They say it's maximum security, but it's really in a terrible condition. I think they didn't really modify the type of cell they had for slaves for the current inmates. So it's really, really
Wow.
bad. But I was not allowed to show that. So yeah, basically we asked permission. We got a big no. I came back to Spain. I was still working for this show. I was doing other documentaries. And suddenly in 2011, Nando calls me in November. I remember it was like a Thursday or a Friday in Barcelona. He says, you need to get into a plane now. We have access to go on Monday. So I just left what I was doing, went to Jamaica, and we start shooting, without really not knowing anything. So it was a little bit suicidal because we didn't know what we were going to find. So we were doing the casting at the same time that I was kind of, I was starting to shoot without not really knowing. And then step by step, we found the characters.
Yeah, so tell me about that process. I'm really interested in how you built the relationship and got the inmates to trust you, because you found some amazing characters.
Yes. Well, I think I remember when I went into the prison, the fact of being a woman, I thought it was going to be a disadvantage. They are not allowed to have intimate moments with their relatives, with their wives. So spending like 3 months inside that prison, I thought, oh gosh, the idea of being around for 3 months, I thought it was going to be really stressing because I was the only woman around. So at the very beginning, I had all the eyes on top of me. But then I found out that they all needed to talk. Like nobody had ever listened to them. And so I just listened. I just, sat down with them and listened to the stories. And they really needed to, bring everything out, share their feelings, share their thoughts, their frustrations, their everything. A lot of them did not have a mother. So the fact of being a woman, I think, really helped. That kindness or tenderness that females, we do have. I shared a lot from my stories to them, and so that they could trust me. So step by step, that's how we did it. But I think that they really needed to talk, because some of them had been there for 10, 15, 20 years, and nobody had ever asked them, how are you? And when I realized that, that was totally my approach. Like, okay, this is the path. And it was a hard process, because once you start listening to them, they don't stop talking. And of course, you need to write down a script, choose the characters. So I was in a hurry somehow. But hey, you really need to spend time with that.
So tell me about that. Tell me about that idea of writing a script, because this is documentary. So how would you have scripted that in terms of it being a scripted documentary?
Yes, this is a very particular case, because what I normally do, I do a research first, then I come back home, I write the script, and then I shoot. In this case, was the other way around, because we suddenly got the access to the prison. I thought I would never get that access. I was asked to jump into a plane. I went into the prison, and so I had to do like everything at the same time. It was really frustrating and stressing for me, because I had very limited time to do everything.
And of course, you're new to the country, pretty much.
Well, absolutely, and also they all speak Patois, which is the local dialect, and I do speak English. But believe me, if you ever heard Patois, it's just
I speak it, so yeah, I know.
Okay,
I'm from Jamaica.
Oh, cool. So Patois then. I remember I was coming back to the apartment where I was living in Jamaica. So what I did to try to understand, because I was talking to them without understanding anything. So what I did, and we didn't have a translator because we didn't have any budget. So what I was doing, I was listening to all the tapes of the interviews at night. Like I fell asleep with them, trying to get Patois into my brain. And we finally managed to understand each other. So I finally learned a little bit of Patois, keywords of Patois. And
so you mean you didn't have anybody kind of going around with you, anybody to kind of like an enabler, I guess?
I had Nando the first days. Nando, this is the Spaniard, the producer, and he speaks perfect Patois because he's been living in Jamaica for 25 years. And he was helping out at the very beginning. But once I started, because I really needed that intimacy, so I finally asked, I don't want anyone around except the cameraman and sound. Because I really needed...
local crew. You had no local crew on the production at all.
Well, yes, I had a production team that was local. So everyone was Jamaican except the cameraman, and the producer is Spaniard, but he also has the Jamaican nationality.
So who were your favorite characters?
I personally connected absolutely with Serrano Walker. I think that because both of us have the same type of sense of humor. So I think that sense of humor was a great tool to understand each other. From my point of view, Serrano is the most talented character by far.
His music is amazing.
It's amazing.
Especially that song, Hallelujah.
Hallelujah is
absolutely amazing.
Gorgeous, beautiful, and the lyrics and everything. And he's such a poet. He's such a great musician. It's so sad he's in there. So he's still inside, right? He's still inside. We are still in touch, but he's about to finish his sentence. He had a 25 to life sentence, so he can ask for parole when he turns 25 years inside that prison. I think that's in a couple of years. No, the rest of the characters are outside already. Okay, because I was going to ask you, where are they now, to kind of bring us up to date? Yes, I know where they are, most of them. Okay, so P.T. Moore, the guy that killed his wife, he got not a short sentence, but it was not a massive sentence like the Serrano, because he went to the police and said, I've done this. So he accused himself. That helped him with the sentence. And then he really embraced religion, and he was helping in the prison, and he, did a lot of things. So he got finally a reduction of the sentence. So he's out. Well, he really regretted what he did. And now he has been allowed to see his children. So the children are living with the mother of the deceased, the wife he killed. Deceased woman. Their grandmother. The grandmother, exactly. So they're still with her. But he's been allowed to see them, and he's trying to rebuild that relationship, which I think is going to be quite hard and challenging, because what happened was really bad. But
yeah, I mean, it's like a permanent life sentence, you know, for to
yeah,
do
I
something
mean,
like that, isn't it?
how
Yeah.
can you, yeah, I think that's the most difficult case. Then when I shot Last Street, which is my last film in Jamaica, it's like Last Street is like a prequel from Songs of Redemption. I was in a very small, everything, what happens in Last Street, everything happens in Denham Town, which is a very small ghetto in downtown Jamaica, in Kingston. There was a period, there was like a lockdown and a curfew, but not related to COVID, related to violence. And I was shooting during that curfew and that lockdown, and it was full of police and everything. One day I was leaving the neighborhood and I was going through a checkpoint, a police checkpoint, and I suddenly hear from the back, "Hey, Amanda, wagwan." And I turn around and I finally see Rasta Romy, which is the Rasta guy that is kicking the ball, playing football, and he's the dub poet.
Yeah.
So he has no dreadlocks anymore. I was staring at him like, I know this guy. I know this guy.
Where do I know you from? Where do I know
you from? And he was like, I'm on a long time, no see, and I couldn't recognize him because those amazing dreadlocks he's carrying in the film, he has nothing. So, and I finally, of course, recognized him, and he's doing well. He's not with the woman anymore, that they have that sweet scene together.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Sure. Yeah, that was beautiful. And I love the fact that you played the Buju Banton.
Well, that Buju Banton song is just so great. They're not together anymore. You know who she is?
No, who?
A Jamaican singer that is, quite successful now, called Coffee.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But Coffee is this woman's daughter.
Oh, well, look at that. The other question, of course, is the program still going on, or was it an experiment?
No, still going on with very hard conditions, because the Carla Gulota, which is the woman that is, directing this program, needs funding from the European Union, and they keep on cutting, the money. But she's an amazing woman, but I don't know how she does it, but she still gets the money to support the program. So, and Serrano is not in GP anymore. He's been transferred to another prison, and he's now close, Vibes Cartel, the dance hall.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, they are together in the same prison now.
Okay, so are they working together from what you know?
Well, last time I spoke to Serrano, they were not, but they were getting close to each other. So I don't know what's going on now.
I mean, their musical style is very different. I mean, Serrano's very, very,
Serrano's romantic.
He's a poet, and he's a different type of musician. But the thing about it is you must have been amazed at how many musicians, because music just seems to be intrinsic in the people, right?
It's incredible. Everybody is born with that. I don't know whether to use the word talent, but the vibe and the energy and the soul, they all have it. I mean, they dance and sing, and it's such a lively and.
So what did you know about the culture before you made the film, before you turned up to do this?
I have to admit, I was a complete ignorant about Jamaica from the point of view of, that's why I've been working hard with Jamaica now to change that. So it's kind of, I made it my purpose. I was the classic European ignorant about Jamaica, thinking I had really traveled a lot to Africa, including Ethiopia. So African culture, I know it well. But when it comes to Jamaica, of course, I knew the Rastafari and Haile Selassie. I knew that. But besides that, I just basically knew Bob Marley, and ganja, a couple of more things, the surface. So when I got to know the culture and everything and the people and all the layers and all the details, I thought, wow, I have to somehow, as a filmmaker, I thought I'm going to do more films in Jamaica, and I want to show what is Jamaica and who are the Jamaicans and how's their culture. And I want to project the real image of Jamaica outside the world. With and because also what I don't like from the image that is given from Jamaica sometimes in films or in media is like violence. I don't like that. Of course, there's violence in Jamaica, of course, but in so many other places too.
So there's violence everywhere. So, but I get the impression from this film and from your other films that you really have a social conscience. You really have a passion for social justice. That seems to come across.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, when I was a journalist, I spent some time working for an organization called Doctors Without Borders. I don't know if it sounds
Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I used to travel to like a lot of, that's how I know Africa so well. And I know Afghanistan and some other places that journalists didn't want to go. And I said, I'm going with a camera. I'm going to shoot what's going on there. It's a strength that drives me. Not only that one, but also explaining stories from another point of view. You know, I'm so fed up of hearing always the same point of view. You know, it's like there's another side of the story always. You know, so why doing a film about a prison saying, oh, people is bad? That's why the decision of leaving the sentences at the very end of the film, it's connected to that. If I start the film saying, hey, Sarah, this person has killed his wife, you're not going to see this guy the same. You know, I'm going to let you know the guy, and at the very end, you'll know he's killed his wife.
And I think that the idea of rehabilitation, because often they talk about prison being about rehabilitation, you must be sorry for what you've done. But sometimes the attitude seems to be you've done something terrible and you're going to have to pay for it. But the idea that this is rehabilitation, that is, treats the person as a human being with a soul, I think comes across really well, and it's wonderful. I wanted to ask you about choosing the title for it, because that is the perfect title.
We wanted to play with the Bob Marley song Redemption Song, but we knew we couldn't use it because we knew we could get a big lawsuit from the Marley family. So we basically turned it around. We did Songs of Redemption.
Yeah, of course. And of course, I think that is the right decision. That it's fitting. I think it fits.
Yeah, it does. I think it does. It does.
Yeah. So tell me something. One thing I just from speaking to you about the history of the prison, that didn't come across very much. Was that a decision that you took, or was it just that you didn't manage to fit very much in about the?
Somehow didn't manage to fit a lot of. I shot a total time of 4 months in the prison. Yeah, I want to explain this because it was not easy to shoot in that prison. I didn't have a great access. I was only allowed to go in the mornings, and I got that section of time from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So that's only 3 hours a day, which is very limited because it's basically going in, then preparing the camera. By that time, it's already almost 11. So I only have 2 hours to do stuff. So, and I only had granted access to the areas where the inmates were related to the rehabilitation program. I didn't have any access to other areas where there was a lot of crowd, cells with 8 inmates in one cell, and I didn't have access to that. And I didn't have access to other time at the end of the day, how they go to sleep. I couldn't shoot that at all. So I had to shoot a lot to get some stuff, especially to get stuff like when at the very end Serrano breaks down, and because nothing was happening, because inmates know that there's always someone looking around. So I basically did all the effort of trying to work on the characters.
And so tell me, in terms of promoting it, how did it go down in the country?
It went really well because it was on TV, it was on cinema, and it really opened up a debate in this Jamaican society about how the Jamaican society is treating their inmates. The people that goes to prison, which is something that happens very often, especially with ghetto youth. I have to say that the Jamaican society does not treat well people that comes out from prison. They are super stigmatized. I think that for the first time, a lot of people saw that these guys are human beings and they've made mistakes. Like we can all make mistakes.
Absolutely. And so your film Last Streets is really, really worth looking at for anybody who wants to kind of follow the story. So, but thank you so much, Amanda, for taking your time out to speak to us. Really enjoyed speaking to you about the film, and I really, really enjoyed the film. And I look forward to seeing some more of your work. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.